Hey Internet, Harris here with iDownload blog. So I get a lot of comments on any iPad mini video that I make calling it a dumb device because the screen is barely bigger than a lot of modern flagships such as the iPhone XS Max. In this video I'm not going to try to prove either way whether the iPad mini is worth it, but to give you a true sense of the difference between the iPad mini and something like the iPhone XS Max. Okay, so first we have to explain the differences. The iPhone XS Max has a huge 6.5-inch screen, but it doesn't look like a typical 6.5-inch screen on a Kindle or on an iPad because the resolution, 2688 by 1242, is a 19:9 ratio, or just over 2:1. The iPad mini has almost an inch and a half bigger screen at 7.9 inches, but a resolution of 2048 by 1536 is much boxier, 4:3 like a traditional TV, or proportionately 12:9 versus the iPhone's 19:9. It's wider and it's going to be better for different things, and that's the big difference that people have to keep in mind between these two devices. So just looking at the home screen itself, it's actually funny. You can fit more apps on the iPhone's home screen than you can on the iPad. I wish it wasn't that way. I think Apple is wasting a little bit of space, but then again, with iOS, it doesn't matter exactly how many apps you have on your home screen because they're just apps. There's no more use or functionality out of them than it being apps. But on the iPad mini, you can go into landscape on the home screen, which is something that you can't do on the XS Max, but something you could do with the previous plus size phones. But one big difference is that the iPad mini does have a dock, which as far as I can tell, you can fit up to 14 applications on the dock, which includes a recently used tab. This is awesome for going to quick used applications, and when you're in other apps, you can quickly pull up the dock and get to your favorite apps. Now, the iPhone XS Max does have some split screen support in some apps, such as settings or messages. When you go into them, they look almost identical to the iPad mini, which is to say that Apple may not be taking the best advantage of its space on the mini, or it could be saying that they are packing a lot into the iPhone XS Max. But you can see on the XS Max, the split screen looks a lot more like two apps next to each other. On the iPad, it looks like one smaller subset on the left and then one larger area on the right, which is how a 4:3 aspect ratio is going to behave. And I think that actually works a little bit better for a lot of apps such as mail, such as messages, and such as settings. Now, the iPad also has the advantage of split screen Safari tabs, something the iPhone doesn't have, and this is very nice for browsing the web and comparing sites. It works very well. And then of course the iPad mini does have full split screen multitasking support. You can have up to two apps side by side in vertical or landscape, something the iPhone can't do at all, and you can even slide over a third app. So this is very powerful and something that the iPhone cannot compete in at all. You also have the landscape keyboard on the iPad, which if you actually type with your hands is actually not a terrible keyboard. Now the big difference would be videos. So if you're in YouTube and you're watching very modern content that might be shot in 18:9, it's going to look almost better on the XS Max. It's going to fill up almost that entire large 6.5-inch screen, whereas on the iPad, you're going to have letterboxes on the top and bottom, and that's just going to be the effect of a 4:3 screen. Whereas if you get into something like 16:9 video, then it's back to being a little bit better on the iPad, although you can zoom in on the iPhone XS Max, which does offer some slight advantage if you're into that, and paired with the slightly better speakers being stereo on the iPhone, it can be a comparable media experience between these two devices. So depending on the style of video you watch, the iPad mini might not be a whole lot better. Of course, if by some chance you were to be watching 4:3 video, the iPad mini is going to be absolutely perfect for that and pretty terrible on the iPhone, but that's very, very rare. But the biggest difference for me would be in reading. If I pull up two books or PDFs on the iPad, you can see a huge difference. It'd be pretty awkward and a lot of scrolling just to read on the iPhone XS Max, depending on the aspect ratio of what you're reading. If you're reading in the Kindle app and it's been optimized for the screen, it won't be a big difference, but if you're reading a document or a PDF, it's going to look great on the iPad and not so great on the iPhone. And finally, of course, there's Apple Pencil support on the iPad mini, which is perfect for taking notes, drawing, or anything in that realm, and that is a huge advantage over the iPhone, which you can get a stylus for, but it's going to be smaller, and the stylus just doesn't compare to an Apple Pencil. So those are some differences between the iPad mini and the iPhone XS Max. Yes, they can be pretty similar displays on paper, but in real life and usage, they actually do differ a bit. Let me know what you think about these two devices, if you think the iPad mini is a big difference over the iPhone XS Max, or if it isn't. I personally don't think I would use a XS Max and an iPad mini. That just seems too close, but I certainly wouldn't say that the iPad mini is no better than the iPhone XS Max. Thank you for watching. Make sure to follow me on social media and stay up to date with all of our new videos and posts. Sorry about the delay in the past few weeks with videos. I'm hoping to get back on the video train now that summer is coming up, and I look forward to making a lot more videos. Again, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.